So do not go with the old mindset. How do I do it like in India? India has also got a lot of things.
So the good news and bad news.
Tell us some of your problems. That way we'll be able to see how we could assist you.
Because strategies are diamond plenty, ideas are diamond plenty, but what really matters is the execution. So welcome once again to all of you. Thank you, Shashi, for joining in today. Foundership is a new initiative started by two founders to bring the execution rigor to the startup ecosystem, because strategies are diamond plenty, ideas are diamond plenty, but what really matters is the execution. And that's the entire focus of foundership, where we bring coaching, capital, and connect to the startup ecosystem to enable founders and startup teams to execute better, right? So foundership focuses on two programs. So we run it from a program point of view. So we run a seed acceleration program, and we also run something called as a cohort-based programs. So it's all about execution, and that's where Santosh and I, as two co-founders, came together early this year to bring the execution rigor to the startup ecosystem. So today, our guest, Shashi, welcome Shashi once again to the Foundership event programs. Very excited to have you partner with us at Foundership, and congratulations on your new venture as well. We'll talk a little bit about that. And today's topic, is something that's Shashi and I know each other for over 10 years now. Both of us have been healthcare entrepreneurs, and that's how we met. And we're very passionate about healthcare, and we felt there's not COVID has changed a lot of things. And with Foundership, we are also seeing a common challenge across many startups and teams on how do you do go to market for for healthcare. And especially today's topic is going to be focusing on all about how do we find early adopters for our solutions and products in the healthcare ecosystem, right? So without further ado, we will run through the next few minutes, with a slide deck covering up some key points, sharing our perspective, and then we'll open up into a Q&A format, right?
Thanks, Vimlesh. Carry on.
So that we will engage all of you as well, and please keep the chat box flowing up with conversations, and you can use the Q&A on the chat window to pop in any questions, and you can click on raise your hand in case you want to come live and ask him any questions. Cool. Yeah. So a little brief here. So Shashi, why don't you share a little bit about your background and your journey, and then I'll talk a little bit about myself.
Thanks, Vimlesh. Firstly, again, excited to be on this foundership platform and sharing certain things on the GTM for health. My kind of journey can be split into two parts. One is as a technology entrepreneur, where I worked earlier with companies like GE Healthcare and Saskin. Second part of my journey was from 2012 to 19 around Health Macro, where I built software products for the Indian healthcare market, hospitals and software adopted us. So I kind of deeply understand the challenges of building products for the Indian market, having sold them as well. So last 1 year, I was also with a social enterprise organization called as Will Grow. So I kind of saw the same challenges across the same thing when as an entrepreneur as well as a mentor. So that's the reason for starting GTM for Health, primarily the last mile enablement for healthcare startups. So we are kind of talking more and more. I think Bimlesh and I will discuss more on this. Thank you, Bimlesh, for the intro, for the welcome.
Fantastic. Yeah. For those who don't know me, I've been a founder for last 10 years now. Prior to that, I worked with Mises, Allscripts, and Satyam, three companies before I started my entrepreneur journey. We launched pharmeasy.com with a Z, which was a platform that was connecting pharmacies, pharma distributors, patients and doctors, creating an entire outpatient ecosystem with a vision to build India's largest e-prescription management company. With this, we were able to have 75% coverage in Bangalore across the entire outpatient ecosystem. I also bring a lot of healthcare technology expertise, having worked with Mises and Allscripts, in building solutions for both India and US healthcare markets. Active member in HIMSS. I've had one failed startup experience. I've had one successful exit, and very excited to be part of this journey in helping companies to solve their execution challenges. And today's topic, is very important and very, is also equally challenging on how do you find your early adopters, given that you're able to take an idea to reality. Right? So, if you can just take the next few minutes, if each one of you can, in the chat box, we know your name from the chat window. If you can share your company name and a little bit about your product, that'll help us to manage this conversation a better, right? So, on the chat box, if you can share a little bit about your product, what does your company do, and about your product, that will be great. I know what Pascare does, so Vaibhav, why don't you get started? Can you share a bit about what Pascare does? Akshay, anything about Precious Life? Okay, JACI, we are trying to build an OYO for maternity clinics. Fantastic. Anybody else? Telepathy, an online platform for seeking therapy sessions at affordable rates. So that's again B2C. Surgical smoke evacuator, cautery machines. Very nice. Building employee benefits platform, trying to house all key services in the healthcare space. Senadoc, building thyroid root cause diagnosis platform. Ashok, telehealth personalized therapy through genomics. Fantastic. So thank you. So we have a good combination of a marketplace, someone trying to replicate OYO. We have a couple of companies who are focusing on the B2B businesses, and I think there's one of them that's focusing on individual consumer or patients.
Sure.
Vaccine
Very
on
nice.
Wheels.
I think Vaccine on Wheels, I must have interacted with you, Krunal. You are your co-founder. I can connect to that.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. So what is that we're going to talk about today, right? So we're going to touch upon how do you identify who's your customer, and how do you manage multiple stakeholders in this life cycle, right? And also help you understand why it is important to articulate on why should they buy from you, right? When they have plenty of choices, and when you're a young company, why do they need to buy from you? And the last few things are how do you build trust with customers around your product and service, and few do's and don'ts based on our experiences and interacting in the healthcare ecosystem with people, right? So with this, I want to do a small activity with, for each one of you. This is basically more like a self-assessment or an introspection type of an activity. If each one of you can look at these questions and find an answer to some of these pertinent questions for your product and the business, this will help you understand a lot more better on how are you going to approach your customer acquisition philosophy, right? So a couple of questions here. Can you describe what your product does in simple words that any common person can understand as well, and not just a healthcare stakeholder? Do you have your elevator pitch ready, right? One of the key things in your elevator pitch is, do you have the same pitch for all stakeholders in the healthcare ecosystem, or do you have a different pitch for different people within a healthcare organization, or within an organization that you're going to pitch for, right? The next one is, does your product work with an existing solution, or does it work standalone, or do they have to completely replace the current system and then start using your solution. Where does your solution fit in the entire ecosystem of an organization, of an healthcare organization? The next question that you also might want to think of is how much training will they need to do in order to start using your solution, right? Is your solution like WhatsApp where they require no training, or your solution is more like a CRM application where they do need some training, a lot of configurations before they can get started? So answers to each one of these questions will determine on what your approach is going to be as part of your customer acquisition journey, right? And from a value point of view, what value does your product bring to the table? Does it save money? Does it save time? It helps them to increase their sales. Does it reduces cost? Does it reduces the cost of human labor, and so on and so forth, right? So if you can spend a minute or so in reflecting on some of these questions, it will go a long way in helping you determine on how you will start seeing that the answers to some of these questions will help you define a better strategy on how you need to approach the market. If you look at the entire healthcare ecosystem, one, we all understand that it's complex. There is no one stakeholder that makes healthcare complete. In fact, it's a combination of several sub industries in the healthcare ecosystem that come together in order to provide care, or in order to provide medicines, or in order to provide devices, in order to ensure that all citizens and patients are taken well care of. In such a case, the key question that comes to you is now, who is your customer or customers, right? Why is this question so important? It is because it's very important to understand that who our ideal customers are, because not everyone is going to be your customer. Only some customers will buy, and the key is to identify them in the fastest time with the least effort and cost that you can acquire them, right? So here are some key parameters for you to consider when you're defining your ICP, right? Your type of your company, it can be public, private, or other sorts of is it an NGO, is it a government? That's essentially what a type of a company is. Revenue of the company, there's a very important factor for you to understand what's their ability to spend, right? As the size of the company grows, their ability to spend will start becoming much more easier as a percentage of the net revenue that they make. What industry are they focusing on? Are they only on hospitals, or are they a larger brand that focuses on hospitals, clinics, and also on labs and devices and so on? Next factor is going to be a technology spend. If there is a way that you can find this out, there are multiple ways to find this out between a digital healthcare company versus an offline company, to understand what's the technology spend, and a couple of additional parameters there. One of the key things in defining an ICP is about, it's all about reaching out to the customer at the right time, right? Uh, what do I mean by that? Pre-COVID world was slightly different, but as soon as COVID hit, the needs of an hospital completely changed. So if you were to go with a heavy capex requirement type of a product, which involved a lot of change management to be done within the hospital, and you're trying to approach them during COVID, that hit us last year during the entire lockdown, that's an absolutely wrong time that you will see that hospitals would not spend on those large initiatives. Whereas if you are a company that had very COVID specific related type of solutions, then that's the highest spend category in which the hospitals or the ecosystem would have been spending a lot of money on. So getting your timing right is key. And one of the ways to look at it is to identify some of the triggers. When is a good time to buy? When is a good time to sell? What are the internal factors which comply these triggers to kick in? What are some of the competitive factors that kick in as well? What are the government factors that come in? So if you can make a list of these triggers, it will again help you a long way in understanding how to determine the timing of an outreach to a particular prospect. So once you do this exercise, then it's all about understanding how do they buy, right? What's the motivation for them to buy? What are the different mechanisms that happens within an healthcare ecosystem or within an organization, in the healthcare on how do they buy? So this is where we spend some time in understanding the concept of a buying center. The smaller the organizations are, like a case of startups, I do know Pascare. Pascare is one of the partners with Foundership. So Pascare has its solutions for employee health insurance, right from small companies, 5-employee companies, 10-employee companies as startups, to about 1,000-employee companies as well. The larger the size of the organization, the larger number of people that get involved in a buying process, right? So this buying center really helps you to navigate your sales journey in understanding who is the influencer in the buying process, who is the who is the decider, who is the initiator, who is the user, the gatekeeper, and the buyer. Each one of them have got different motivations and different aspirations and different goals. And it's important to have this understanding and mapping in across your value chain on how your product and its value proposition aligns for each one of them and aligns in the entire value chain process as well. So once you do this, once you understand the buyer center, you have you have done an analysis on your ICP, and now it's all about finding them, right? So there are a lot of ways to find a general set of people, general set of customers. You got databases, you get LinkedIn Navigator, you can subscribe, you can leverage one of our partners, Easy Leads, and so on and so forth. Even when you access the data, you need to look at some traits of or signals on finding early adopters, right? What we have listed here is some of them, not the entire list, but there's a good starting point for you to take a look at. How do you look for signals on people who have the characteristics of being an early adopter? Remember that every organization comprises of people, and people's characteristics rub in the way they engage in an organization. So typically you see when new decision makers come, they join an organization, they typically want to change a bunch of things that happens within the organization. That's a good way to look at an approach point of view. Analyze if this particular business that you're trying to outreach and that industry, is it growing business? Are they expanding? Take a look at hospital. For example, Manipal Hospital has been rapidly acquiring and growing over the last 5 years. Aster Hospital has been expanding in Bangalore as well. Columbia Asia got acquired. So what do these things mean? How does this impact your product or a service, right? Organization is actively marketing on new channels. So when such things happen, that means they are open to spend. When the mindset of an organization is open to spend to acquire, they will obviously look to have solutions that will help them to increase their ROI on the spend, become more efficient in data tracking. So there are a lot of tools and solutions that can come into place there. Stakeholders are active in the ecosystem. Pre-COVID world, you would have a lot of healthcare conferences, you will have a lot of healthcare events, and you will see a lot of the same people or the companies being represented in these ecosystem events. These are someone who are why are they being active in the ecosystem? 2 points of view there. One, they are constantly looking to be aware of what's happening in the industry. Second, it's all about marketing and PR. They also want to be seen and heard in the ecosystem. And a lot of these people are also actively looking out to stay upgraded on what's going on. And these are the forward-looking organizations who, even if they don't decide now, but they will have some solutions and ideas in mind that they will take a decision to implement in the upcoming months. Another key way to identify is stakeholders how are they using new technologies in their lives, right? Typically, when you have these sales meetings, one of the quicker ways, especially if it's an influencer or or any role from the stakeholder buying center point of view, observe a lot of things in the way you interact with them, right? The more modern technology that they are using or they talk about, such are the people who have the characteristics of being an early adopter, right? Another point, which we all see is a great factor is from a loss or gain of reputation. This again goes back to a timing point of view. For example, during COVID, there are a lot of theories going on that hospitals are overcharging. They're using COVID as a reason to rake in high profits amongst patients. What if you had a more Bangalore had this scam also being exposed by Tejasvi Surya, where the bed booking was a scam, and he reached out to a bunch of organizations that could help him out build out a bed booking management system. So these are some of the ways to look at how you can look in to find early adopters. Friends and family, very important. You can't ignore them. Business networks and associations. You can't have a successful go-to strategy in any healthcare ecosystem if you're not part of that ecosystem, right? So look for networks, look for association, affiliations that you can be part of that can help you to do it. Lastly, but not the least, work with accelerators that already have these relationships built that can help you to shorten the life cycle of both time and money, right? So once you have, now that you know how to find them, what are the characteristics to, so now what, right? Now what do you do from here? So this is where I'll bring in Shashi to share his perspectives. Shashi, over to you.
Hey, thanks, Vimlesh. Can you all hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
So having got to know who are your competitors, who are the prospect customers, right? When you get that first meeting, right, that's something very, very important. You need to make sure that doesn't go for a waste or something. So a lot of preparation is required. It's been my experience. I sold to hospitals and labs on HIS, LIS, which were several lakhs worth of software. So I was just telling you from my experience here. One is people are busy. So just keep your presentation. Don't have 100 kind of slide deck, 20 to max 30 minutes, wherein it's the first meeting. You're trying to share what you do and a few parts around the product demo. That's what you should plan for. And just Q&A is also very important. Are they right? Are they not? Even if it's no, it's perfectly okay so that you don't waste time. So keep it at 20 to 30 minutes of your pitch time overall. One is they are giving you time. Just make sure you add value to them so that you one way is to demonstrate that I know your business well. All the things I think earlier Bimlesh had told about, right? A revenue size, and can they afford your product, and how many branches are there. When you talk to them, right, it's all about people to people selling, so that they know that, hey, this guy is just not coming to sell me. He knows my business. He knows something about me. He knows my problem also. And also the other way to sell also is talk about their top competitors. What are they doing? Because every business tries to look at what its competition is doing, how they can do it. If you can do that, that's something of valuable information in the 30-minute meeting. This competition is doing this, they have adopted our solution. That kind of what we call antenna goes up if you do that. Second and last, I would say, is go through the Google reviews. Amazing piece of information you get. It's solid, it's social media, it can't go wrong. If you have read something about a problem with your hospital or something, and your solution is kind of addressing that, just connect the two. Sir, I read about in your Google review about your hospital lab. This is one of the problems, and my product solution can solve it. You kind of connected the dots. So always just don't go all over the place. Just do these top 3 or 4 things. And then I talked about the reputation also, right? Hospitals or labs are extremely conservative in their approach. Healthcare itself is slow clock speed, I keep telling, right? So they look at long cycles over there. So the first question people ask is, where is it deployed? How many years is it deployed? That's the standard ones, right? So carry testimonials, customer testimonials over there. And if you have got some healthcare certification, I used to flaunt my NABH, NABL kind of things, right? I'm a techie by profession, but I learned that kind of thing. That kind of creates differentiation also. And other one I would do it is one deck, one slide that had pictures of the, what do you call as their logos over there or their actual boards that shows the thing. That way, they are able to connect with some other competitor of theirs. Oh, that guy is using, so I too can use it. So these are some things, as I call as tips to build trust, to add value to the meeting. Next slide, Bimlesh. Yes. Having said that, value propositions for healthcare is very important. It can't be too costly. If it's costly, it should have an ROI, right? Most healthcare solutions products have got top three kind of classifications of value propositions. One is clinical. I'm sure somebody had certain things that we prevent a disease, or we alert you of a disease early, or we cure that. Those are standard things. Accessibility. So we can take this to rural market, social enterprise, we serve the bottom of the pyramid. Sometimes today, because of COVID, more and more healthcare services are shifting to home. So home-based devices, no need to visit hospital, you save that. Connect doctors, personal data. Last one is affordability, right? So those are the top three categories most people do. I will tell you about how you should do it such that it's more specific. Next slide, please. Yes. So don't talk very generically around this does, right? Sharp, crisp, and clear, I'll say. I'll take two examples here. One, don't say it's less costly and other things. So it costs you this, but it saves you 2 lakh per annum. People's antenna rise, oh my God, 2 lakhs per annum I generate or save or so, or a 30% increase in revenue. That guy knows how many crores he's doing and a 30% what it means. Talk in such specific terms because it's always the financial metrics that will swing in your favor. And the same thing can be gone and pitched to the CFO also. Don't have too many things. Financial, financial, financial. It is expected the product is supposed to be of good quality, all those things, but at the end of the day, it's a financial thing that works. Contextual also. Some products come midway, right? It doesn't touch the patient, but it comes after you've taken a screen or a X-ray or something and you process on it and you give intelligent analytics, right? So make it easy for the owner or the other side to understand what stage it comes in and then map the journey. So you get it here, but you get it here, and then our software does this, and it's how it adds value. And be specific of the use case. Don't have too many use cases, not more than 2 or max 3, I would say, such that you are able to clearly understand what you leave there. So those are things. Again, to summarize, financial terms, clinical terms ought to be extremely clear around it. Don't we do fuzzy things, oh, it's great, does, etc. It's expected to do. Financial terms is very important. Last one, wires. There are lots of startups working in the same space, etc. So you also need to bring in your value proposition why you, meaning you could be experts in healthcare in the past, or you've got certain secret sauce over there that others do not have. Bring those things as differentiator. So keep it crisp, not more than 2 slides around value proposition. Don't be all over the place. That's it. Next slide, please. Yes, this is an important one. So just if you want to take a screenshot also of these key principles in the first meeting. One is building an emotional connect. Healthcare is a long industry, so at all times, find common ground with the person you're pitching. When you're waiting, look around in the hospitals to see that you can connect to something such that it's not straight away you jump into showing your deck, right? They find you are from the same city, you are studied in some same college. Something is there. You need to find a common ground. People buy from people, remember that. Or you're both solving a similar healthcare challenge. I'm so excited. Somebody said OYO for maternity, right? We are also doing the same thing. And I hear you're one of the best in Bangalore maternity centers. That kind of thing helps it. It should be very authentic. Don't try to fake around those kind of things. Very important, I'll tell you. Because as an entrepreneur, your integrity in selling is extremely important. You cannot do that if you're not authentic. Second, I would say is demonstrate trust and confidence of your product. I think I covered it earlier. Show testimonials around it. Show, let's say, for example, if you're selling a lab or a HIS product, right? So that NABL format is extremely important. What I would do is I would show how our lab report looks like, such that he sees this is the kind of outcome that he can see and make a decision around with the logo of the people using it. Third, I would say is validate the needs and budget. What I see is I have done this mistake, I'll tell you. Sometimes we pitch to a wrong guy and kind of think around, oh, he has got something, great demo, etc. Firstly, validate. Do they have a problem? It's very important for you to know, even a no is okay. But do they have a problem? Get that right. Sir, do you have this problem? If he says no, accept it. Don't go on to arguing, saying, yeah, you must be having or something. And also map the second thing. Does your product solution meet their needs? If it meets halfway, understand where the gap is, where it meets. Have that alignment, such that guy understand that you're really trying to solve his problem. And also, people usually ask, what's the price range of your product? right? So after you've done a demo, so you don't need to give an exact price range because you need to play around with the numbers also. Approximately our low end starts from, I'm just taking a number, 50,000 to 3 lakhs kind of thing could be a kind of thing based on what you require. So I'm just giving you based on, after our further discussions, I can give you a right price is something you need to do, because that guy shouldn't fall off the chair at the end, or you shouldn't be surprised that he cannot do. But you can also read the body language to say what's happening, is he interested, etc. Talk a little bit about business model, because today's model, always people are looking at only SaaS based models, rental models over there. Talk about that kind of flexibility. If you just say this many lakhs, people will say no. Talk about those kind of flexibilities. At the end, your outcomes should be that you expect, I think, clarity around, I think we met it, that it meets your needs. Can we move to the next stage wherein I can talk to more of your users or staff or etc.? That's the next stage of the sales cycle. Don't try to close the sale in the first meeting. And negative is, yes, I think, thank you for your time. I don't think we have a need, but can we stay in touch? Can I send you some newsletters, etc.? That's the way you should kind of do that, such that it shouldn't feel that a negative kind of an outcome. Next slide, please. Very important, next slide. There are 3 parts, I would say: opening, middle, closing. It's just like a chess game. Please plan it well. And few don'ts, I'll tell you. I made this mistake and then I want to make sure. Never introduce your company as a startup, I'm telling you. A dangerous red flag, because as soon as you say startup, right, oh, they don't have a real product, no untested business model, all those things will come in. Show always that kind of thing. We are so and so, we are in the industry. Startups, you yourself read newspapers, right? People think of it as, oh, you raise investment with some crazy valuations, you're loaded with tons of money, so give it free. Those things happen. So be very careful. Never introduce your company as a startup. Healthcare industry, again, be careful. Technology adoptions are slow. They like tried and tested. You should always talk about it's tested there, it's tried there, they've been using it for 1 year. This is a testimonial kind of thing. That helps you. All those things in the opening. So they don't like anything unproven, or also they don't like anything partial. Oh, this is only there, but it will come next year. They'll say come next year. So be very careful around it. That's the other part, I would say. Do's, yes, the important thing is, how old are you as a company? Sir, we are a 2017-18 started company. We have got 3 customers in Bangalore itself. Now we are expanding. This is our product brochure. Healthcare industry is still conservative, though to COVID, you can still look at how to give that kind of a thing. They like to feel, touch, that's the way it works. And understand a few things about customers before starting the pitch. Firstly, my understanding is this, am I right? Have that kind of conversation such that it shouldn't be a monologue, that one day you're talking and that guy does all. The more the customer talks, remember, you're making progress. Okay, and also understand such that they are not interrupted. How much time you have for the meeting? Just have that clarity. Sir, I think 30 minutes is okay. Can I get 30 minutes out? Doctors are busy people. Hospital owners are busy people. Such that both of you know. Otherwise, it's very awkward. Not guy checking his watch and saying when you end the meeting, right? So just get those things clarity and then begin it. Next slide. Positioning, again, share the problem your company is solving. Don't assume that guy knows you or your company. That high level you share, this is what we are doing. Perspective, and I think you should also have a thought process or a thought leadership around it. Sir, we believe that this is ripe for disruption, this industry. What do you think around it? I've kind of done, but I want to get your perspective also. Have that kind of a leadership talk with the owner. That way he knows that you're not some kind of a thing, but I will also gain from you. People like to talk to leaders. And get the customer also to talk around it. That way there is a kind of interesting debate also. Then introduce the product. Okay, and then high level talk benefits. Don't talk about too much about features. So with this you get this kind of a revenue improvements, business stuff, or you solve this problem. I've seen that kind of thing. And main thing I'll talk about is the benefit, clinical benefits. And also when you talk about it at least over a 2 to 3 year period. This is what you get. Don't clearly say this kind of thing. And most importantly, you need to rehearse. Pause at important points to get feedback. What do you think around it? Do you think it is helping out? That way, the more yeses you get, right, you are also getting a clarity around, hey, we are making progress. Last thing I would say, as I said earlier, the more the customer talks, you're making progress. If he likes you, right, you'll get somebody else. Hey, wait, this is good. Let me call my partner also. That's the way to see and understand. Next slide, please. And other thing is build relationships. Healthcare is all about relationships. Even if you don't have the right product, don't ruin the relationship. Understand their concerns, objections, challenges, empathize. If you don't have a solution, don't say next year I'll come and do. That's listening is good enough. Don't jump to provide a solution. Last and most importantly, don't show urgency to make a sale. First meeting, never ever talk about the sale. B2B, I'm telling you. That customer should feel that they are the long-term partner. That's very important to leave out actually. So this is very important. Never show the urgency to make a sale. Next slide, please. So the middle part, now we did the opening, right? Then you just say, I think based on your time, if you've done a very good opening, he or she will sit for the complete product demo. If they don't have time for a demo, show the high level, what I can say, the screenshots of the product. That's good enough actually. This is how it looks there. This is what it is. This is what it is. Sometimes don't use this sir also, I'm telling you. Mr. or something is a very professional way of doing it. I don't like this sir stuff because it shows high-low. Both of you are business owners, get it in the right way. And at the right times, introduce showing testimonials of your paying customer. These are paying customers, logos, etc. That way they show this is a proven product. At the end, you should also not walk away. I was also guilty of it. Sometimes if I tell a price, what happens if he walks away, etc. You should talk about the price at the middle part. This costs you around, for the kind of benefits it gets you around between 1 lakh or 3 lakh, whatever it is. What do you think around it? This is a lower to higher end, so that you should show the confidence about your product and the pricing. It shouldn't be that you're afraid of doing it. Introduce the price at the right time. And you can say details can be shared once the requirements are clearly understood, so that we can understand we have got different business models. But I just wanted to leave you, this is the range of the products. Next slide. This is the last part, closing. Now we have done opening well, middle part, demo well, etc. Now closing is also, you should be planned well. At the end, so this Mr. So-and-so, this is done. What do you think about the product? Pause. Let him speak, him or her speak. Yeah, this is good, meets my expectations, I like that part, but can you do that, etc. Write down the things well. That way you show that listening. And at the end, reiterate it back. I think you like the product and these are some additional features you want. You felt pricing was slightly higher. Acknowledge its part actually, very important. And also ask, do you have any further questions about your product service? Such that he shouldn't feel, no, I didn't understand it. Make it very open and clear. And then ask, what's a good time to follow up on the next steps? Right? Next week I'm busy, I'm at a conference, etc. Don't rush to say Monday karenge, etc. So do you think September first week, second week is a good time to follow up? Ask how you should be doing it, etc. And then also here is something I want you to do very importantly, right? Understand if he or she the only decision maker, or are there others as well? This is a standard industry word, BUN and MAN. Do they have a budget, urgency, and need? The way to ask is, hey, you like this product, and do you think we can look at buying this in the next 1 to 2 months? Usually you should look at a quarter. That's what a B2B minimum cycle is. 1 to 2 months is something. Yeah, maybe I think now that the festivals are coming, we should be able to do that, say. And there is a budget, right? I just will have to understand that, and there's a need, right? Get that clarity. And also understand, are there others whom you need to pitch, who also are part of decision making? Ask that explicit question. Because you just pitch and you keep on talking to the wrong person, then the new guy comes, yeah, I never approved this, who did it? It's a very bad thing, right? And if you say, I will pitch, let's do that also. And if it does not have a need, end it gracefully. I don't think I need it. Hey, can I ask one favor from you? Can you introduce me to other doctors, hospitals, such that they may have a need? I see you and he are connected or something like that. Do that. If you are done part 1, part 2, I'm sure he doesn't have a problem in sharing his number or making a connection. So you can understand everything is started for you. Next slide, Bimlesh. Internally also, you need to track it, right? Post the meeting. Today's people still read mails, right? So send a mail thanking the customer. I don't use WhatsApp for too many things. I style like a little bit of professionalism, thanking. Summarize key points discussed. We like this, you like this. Sometimes they say, come after 3 months. I'm right now busy. Write it down also so that they come back. Action points, share the next steps. Internally also document the meeting. Never assume it's in my book, etc. It will go away. I would just suggest put it in a simple mail and have it sent to the decision makers. Don't say it should be in Zoho, that CRM, this CRM, I'm telling you. As long as it's in some way electronically trackable itself. Later you can track it to CRM, I'm telling you. It should be so simple that as soon as you step the subject name, you should be able to get it. What are the important things tried? When did we meet, etc. Otherwise, it's very embarrassing. So next time you meet, right, you can say, hey, that guy also was there. Is he not part of the organization now? That's the kind of thing you should have. Next slide, please. Yes, I think if you liked all these things, right? So what Bimlesh and I are working on is that we are building this kind of a program, go-to-market exclusively for India health tech, from Foundership and GTM for Health that we are trying to do. And it's an 8-week program where we are looking at helping you get your early adopters on business model, pricing, how to approach the kind of things that I shared with you. So I would like to kind of get some feedback around, did you find this useful, and then pass it back to Bimlesh to take over and roll it out over there. Bimlesh.
Yeah, thanks, Shashi. So before I go further on this, can you share some feedback, please? How many of you found what we discussed so far very valuable today? How many of you are willing to apply some of these things? How many of you found some
Useful, yeah.
points that you have not considered in your business or in the way of approaching your customers so far? Okay. Taking testimonials. Very good.
Looking for further questions, folks.
Yeah.
Tell us some of your problems. That way we'll be able to see how we could assist you.
Yeah.
So Krunal, what are your challenges?
Santosh
I
shared
think
the
I know
link,
Vaccine on Wheels. Okay, how to scale a startup related to mental health care in a market like India where there is little or low readiness amongst the people for the same? Actually, it's a very interesting thing that sometimes not having a roadmap is a very good thing. You could redefine the way mental health care is can be built. I have had long back working with one mental health care company way back in 2012-13 before I did a health macro. The COVID situation has changed, the kind of pandemic has changed. There's so much of opportunities to do that. Certainly, you can just reach out to me. Just don't take it lightweight about how it is. Every challenge has got certain stigmas attached to it. With mental health care, that's how it used to be in the past, but the next generation is opening up a lot of faith where employers are very open to mental health care challenges, parents are open to mental health care challenges. There's a very different ecosystem we have seen evolve. So mental health care startup in today's world makes a lot of sense actually. So do not go with the old mindset. How do I do it like in India? India has also got a lot of things. I can connect you with at least 2 startups working in mental health care space, founded by extremely what we call accomplished people because they see that kind of problem over there, Sandeep. So reach out to me. Your company needs to be tele-empathy. I like the word empathy. And that way you're connecting that.
Yeah.
Happy to assist you on that.
Couple of thoughts there, Sandeep, to add on to what Shashi said, right? I think in your type of a product, you need, again, you need to go back to identify before you scale. I'm assuming that you already have a bunch of customers because you're using the phrase scale, right? So you do have some adopters. Analyze who amongst these early customers that you have the highest product usage, right? Are you selling B2B or are you selling B2C, right? Both of them will give you clarity on the segment that is adopting your solution, and that segment is where you can repeat to have a higher sales value. Right? That's one way to take a look at it.
Any other questions?
There's another question. Yeah, there was another question in the top on B2C strategies, right? So Gyan Prakash, can you share one more line item on what Cynodoc does? Thyroid root cause diagnostic platform. Okay, so because you're a thyroid root cause diagnostic, so obviously your target customers that you're targeting are people who have got thyroid already. So you're not a preventive solution, but you're a post solution on someone who has got thyroid already with them. So one of your so there are 2 ways to look at it. One is to go direct B2C, that you will need to take on a lot of awareness building, content marketing type of activities. Second is how can you increase your reach, right? So can you then partner with a lot of thyroid test labs, right, who already do this, right? So this will also help a partnership model for you to build out with diagnostic labs that do thyroid tests, to help them to market your product, and you can engage with a commercial share arrangement between both of them. I hope that helps. Okay. Any other questions, please?
I saw something on maternity care, like OYO for maternity. I don't recollect the
Right.
name, but what's the challenge you guys are facing, you folks are facing? I think JAC, yeah, Jacinta Shanbo, yes. So if there are any challenges, would be happy to address that. Because I've also worked on the maternity side, MCH we used to call maternity and child healthcare, in my Wilgrow assignment on some of the products for maternity and child healthcare.
Yeah. Our challenge is reaching out to pregnant women in the vicinity of our clinics.
Okay. Within the vicinity of our clinics. How do we do that here?
So you have your own clinics? Or a platform that has partnered with
Yes, our
clinics?
partners.
Yes, our partners.
Okay.
Okay, cool. So with maternity clinics, okay, this is my perspective. Shashi, you can jump in as well. So the good news and bad news with maternity situations, right? So good news is you have a very specific period of window between, from the time the woman is identified that they are about to become a mother till the time of delivery. So you have a beautiful window period of 9 months, or say even 7 months, right? Now each of the clinics have a captive audience, captive patient circle radius, which could be, earlier it used to be 3 kilometers, now it's almost gone up to 10 kilometers now. All these patients, depending on the brand name of the clinic, are captive patients for that particular clinic on the maternity care for a period of 7 to 9 months. So one, you can do a very strong co-branded marketing initiatives with your partner. If you get access to those patient data, then you can obviously link them up, have more communication with your with the pregnant mothers, and you can also help drive in a lot of traffic, encourage like a Google review type of a system, enabling services around making that parental experience as a wow factor, right? So all this will help you to increase the brand of your clinic partners and help the parents to feel associated to your brand and to your clinic. These are just on the top of the mind ideas or thoughts on how you could do it. Shashi, if you have some points to share.
Yeah. I was just trying to see a Google review around it. I could not locate it. So I think first months are critical to get customers. Yeah. So it's a lot of 9 months of it. There are a lot of services one delivers, right? Firstly, it's all about to make sure that you don't lose the baby after the first 3 months, and after which it is all about what we can see. Mother is safe, nutritious, there are no side effects, all those things. And the last one is all about a safe delivery, right? So you need to identify which part you play around it, what's your service, etc. I would be happy to know a little more about the kind of work that JACI is doing before doing it, because some work that we did is through frontline health workers, we kind of collect data around what you call malnourished women, or whatever you call delivery care. They need more guidance, they need more medicines, etc. So I want to understand more about it, because based on what you're trying to deliver as a service or a product over there, that can be done. Some of the things I've seen is sometimes you would use apps to collect the data around the people and then deliver it, reach out to them. Sometimes use frontline workers to get the data around it to do. So if I know a little bit more about JACI, happy to, if you can reach out to me, happy to assist you on that part. That way I give my specific comment around how you can do. But there are a lot of challenges around it. You also want to make sure that the mortality rate decreases in this period over there. I have worked in the social enterprise space as well, and it's a very big problem. A lot of opportunities to create that impact. Happy to connect with you, Jacinta.
Yeah, I'm just sharing both our email IDs here, so feel free to reach out post this session as well. Another question I had regarding thyroid root cause is about knowledge gap amongst patients. How can we bridge the knowledge among patients, create awareness amongst them? Yeah, it's all about, you need to invest a lot on content marketing, Gyan Prakash. You will need, an endocrinologist type of a person on your team, or a consultant or an advisor on your team who will help you build these content on awareness, right? Today with COVID, I would definitely suggest, video marketing as one of the channels for you to explore. This is again, and one of the ideas on what you do as part of the GTM, to think on what is a more effective way to produce content and to build awareness, right? If you have a panel of endocrinologists that you could talk, you can create actually several parameters on preventing thyroid, and once you get thyroid, what do you do, right? How do you keep your thyroid levels stable as well? And you can do this across age groups. So every content of yours has to be targeted, has to be very crisp. You can create short form content, long form content, uh, and bunch of these activities you could do to create that awareness. Key is to have a subject matter expert on your team.
Sure.
Right. Cool. We'll take one last question before we wrap this up for today. Any other last question? Yeah, fantastic. So we have shared our email IDs with you guys in case you need to set up an additional one-on-one call with either of us. Please do, happy to facilitate that. So with this, thank you, Shashi, for being part of today's event, and thanks to all of you for sparing precious time on a Saturday afternoon. I hope you found this useful. If yes, please feel free to tweet about it, to share a post on LinkedIn. We'll be grateful to you as well. Right? Thank you so much, and take care and stay healthy.
Thanks, Vimlesh.